everyone, and welcome back to another episode of No Capes, the show where we talk about creator-owned comics with creators who own comics. Joining me today is a man who owns many comics, as you can see, the wonderful Matt Harding. Matt, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Matt Harding. I've been working in comics for about 10 years, probably at this point. My newest comic is actually coming out pretty soon. It's called All the Devils Are Here. And I'll show you kind of like a picture of the cover. It's going to be coming out in print pretty soon.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
watching that one. I was looking at that the other day on Comixology, like the pre-site.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'm working with this guy Jared, who he's done stuff through like Mad Cave, and he's kind of like an up and coming writer, and he's a really good writer. And we put a lot into this, so I'm hoping that it does really well. I think it will. You know, as long as people see it, they won't be able to turn it down.
Yeah, exactly. I
I'm
mean, like, it's going to be going on the list for guests to pick from for this, so
Oh, cool,
yeah.
awesome.
Like, pretty much
Uh,
everything I read this year is going into the list, so any guests are going to be able to be like, yes, that. Let's talk about that.
that's rad. I'm gonna have to go into that list and buy everything. I think. Um, I'm a huge comic reader. I'm also the publishing director at a publisher, Comics Experience Publishing,
Oh,
so
cool.
CEX, and it's so what it is there was a college. It's kind of it's like a online courses, like college level courses on creating comics, and there's all kinds of professionals who have done lectures for them and run classes and stuff. It's like one of the best like courses you can go through to learn how to do comics. All kinds
Yep.
of people have come out of it,
Yeah, cool.
and went to working professionally. And one of the guys who runs that, and a couple of the teachers have gotten together and they've started to put together this publisher. And so we're kind of like brand new, and they hired me because one of their teachers knows me through comics. And so we're kind of like a brand new publisher, but we've got all kinds of cool stuff coming out soon.
I'm
So
going to have to do some digging into that because I would love to do some further study on comics making and stuff, and I've been eyeing off, like, the Cubit School correspondence course and stuff, but, like,
mhm. Expensive.
expensive, but not just that, like, posting the assignments back and forth with the old Australian exchange rate and also Australian shipping to American rate.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
not super helpful. Like my little player screens that I showed you before. It cost me $26 to send one of those to America.
Yep. Yeah. I did some Kubert school stuff back in the day, but it is expensive.
Yeah,
And
like
then it's not only is it expensive to send stuff back and forth, but the classes themselves. I mean, they're great. It's a great school, but it's like a very like what would you call it? Like a trade school. Like
yeah,
you have to pay that price. Comics
exactly.
experience, you can go in for courses. You can take this course. You don't have to. It's not like you can you don't have to like be like, oh, I'm a freshman at this place. Like you
Yeah,
can take this course, take that course, and that kind of thing. And um, it's a really cool. I mean, they got a lot of really cool stuff. So I mean, if you get a chance, you should check it out. And then you
oh
should also
yeah,
check out the publishing. So because we're coming out with a lot of books.
yeah.
And
No, 100%. I'm very keen to take a good look at that. I'm probably going to look at that straight after this, to be honest.
cool, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, thank you. Yeah, we one of the things that's important to us is we want to have the best. Since we're all creators, and it's kind of coming from a school of people interested in becoming creators and teaching them and stuff. We want to have like the best deal we could possibly give to creators, and so we've worked really hard to like make sure that creators have the best deal with us that you can get for like royalties and ownership and all that stuff is really important to us. So it's a really good place to publish through.
yeah, yeah. No, that sounds perfect. I'm definitely going to take a look at that after this because I want to start doing as much as I can. Like, this year is the year of me pitching willy nilly at every
Yeah.
anthology I can get my hands on. Yeah.
So
Um,
should we talk about speaking about horror?
yeah.
Um,
Let's do it. We're talking about the sixth Gun today, and do you want to introduce it?
sure. The sixth gun was actually it was put out by Oni Comics, and it was a while ago. I think that it came out 10 years at least.
Yeah, something
I
like
forget
that.
exactly when, but at least 10 years ago. It's written by Cullen Bunn. It's drawn by Brian Hurtt and colored by Bill Crabtree. Um, this I think it went on for 7 or 8 volumes, maybe even more. It was such a good. It sold so well that they still to this day will like repackage it and put it out. Like I think there was a really cool like hardcover edition that came out last year or the year before.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Um,
have to check my locals for that because I don't have a physical copy of it yet.
my wife actually just got hired by Oni, so I'm going to be uh, uh, hey, do you think you could pick me up one of those hardcovers when you go in there, please? I've already started asking her. But yeah, it's like one of my favorite comics of all time. It just come back onto this podcast, rereading the first volume, which I read like 10 years ago or something, was really fun because I had forgotten like just how good it is. Like Colin Bunn is like at the top of his game with his storytelling with this, I feel, and then Brian's like art and storytelling,
Mm.
and with Crabtree's coloring is just uh, stunning in this book.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal book. Um, I I started reading it. I'd been meaning to read it for ages and ages and ages and ages, and kept forgetting about it. And then one day I did. I just finally picked it up, and then I think I devoured the entire series in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, I was reading like 10 issues a day because I was just so hyped about it.
Yeah, it's one of those books where when you're reading it, the just the pure like creativity and imagination, like in each of the like weird characters that they meet or areas that they go through is exciting. Like it's one of those books where you're just like the scenery in this one area is so cool, or like
Yeah,
this one villain is so awesome. Like you can't like put it down.
yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And that was it. Like it was so engaging and so like intriguing too. Like I
Yeah.
had to know what was next.
What's in that safe, man? We gotta know what's in that safe.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's so much to it, and like the history of the weapons, and who uh, Drake really is,
Yeah.
and just like because it's hinted at constantly, and
So are we? How much of this are we on the show? At least are we allowed to talk about? Like, because I'm sure people are like, do we want to just focus on the first couple
so
issues?
generally I like flick through the first issue while we talk. And
Okay,
so what we'll do is we'll just talk about the first issue for the first few minutes, and then
sure.
we'll tell for those of you that are watching, we will tell you when to bugger off and read the comic if you are worried about spoilers. So we'll get to a point where we're going to warn you to go read the comic and come back and then watch the rest of the episode because we're heading into deep spoiler territory. But we're going to focus on sort of the first issue for a little bit. So you're safe for now if you don't mind the first issue being discussed right now. And that's what we're going to do. So I've got the cover up right now, which is cool because it's the wraparound cover with the double page spread going.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the really nice pin up of Drake, and it's gorgeous, to be honest.
Yeah, it really is. I wonder what Brian Hurt is doing these days. Like I saw him doing other stuff for a while. I'll look that up while we're talking about this. 'Cause after this series, he was, he was a big deal. I think he worked on a couple other things with them. We call him Bunn. Yeah, here we go. See what he's up to these days. Because yeah, I mean he's very talented. Like it's clean. It's like it's really clean, but there's like so much going on that's very detailed, and it's got like a kind of like animated look to it. But
Yeah.
his storytelling is
Oh, that would be so good, actually. An animated series of this.
oh yeah,
Like we were talking just before the show, and we are saying how it was a shame that the live action never got made. but
Right.
an animated series of this would be really fun.
So yeah, he's worked on a bunch of stuff with Cullen. He did The Damned, which was also a really good one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, Shadow Roads, which was cool.
Yes,
But
I
I don't
really
know
like Shadow Roads.
what he's doing right now. I'm trying to find out. I'm trying to see what he's up to these days. Um, that I was looking at his publisher page through Simon and Schuster.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, here he is. Tons of Six Gun stuff, obviously.
Hmm.
I guess he did Gotham Central, which was cool. That
Oh,
is
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
perfect for him.
I think I only read the first issue of that because I'm not as into the DC stuff as I used to be. I mainly follow like the Bat Family books now.
Yeah,
Oh man.
totally.
And so for people that don't know, is they filmed a pilot for a live action of this comic, and it's a supernatural western with like immortal warriors and these 6 magic guns that each have its own special supernatural ability that can end the world sort of deal. And yeah, they filmed a live action pilot, and Pedro Pascal wasn't Drake, actually. He was Special Agent Ortega.
Oh,
Michael Huseman? I'm not sure how it's pronounced, actually, was Drake Sinclair. And
okay.
Aldous Hodge was Agent Mercer. That would
Okay.
have been really cool. Graham McTavish was Silas. Again,
Oh
that would have
yeah.
been really, really cool.
I recognize this guy, Michael. Michael
Yeah,
Hushman?
I've seen him in something.
Is he? I think was he? Is he the guy? Well, maybe I'm thinking the wrong
Oh,
guy. Who was in
he was in
Westworld or whatever?
Game of Thrones. I can see that.
Game of Thrones.
Orphan Black. World War Z.
Okay.
Okay, so I
Yeah, so
haven't.
he's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, he's been in smaller parts in a bunch of stuff. So this would have been a really cool opportunity for him.
Who was gonna play the friend Bill? Oh yeah, this guy, John O'Henry.
Mm.
Um, who is one of my favorite characters in it. That's a good
Yeah,
choice. This
Bill
would have
John
been
was
cool,
good.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
So they actually did film it, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I see a bunch of stuff here.
yeah. They filmed it, and then the actual show never got picked up, and I don't know if it's anywhere to watch. It was Universal.
I'm gonna have to ask. I just send Cullen a message. I doubt he would let. I mean, he must have it, right? Like he's
You
got
would
to
think
have
so.
it. That would be cool. Yeah, I had a chance to actually work with Cullen on a 1-page comic. I did something. He does this series that's kind of like
Deepest Catacombs.
cool. Yeah, I did one that was really fun. It was like there's like 3 doors. I don't remember if you remember the story, but there's like 3 doors. They're like, oh, should we go down this door? And there's like a horrible stuff in there, all these monsters. The other door was like evil versions of them, and then another door was like a giant like eyeball monster thing that was like coming for him.
No, I don't think I'm up to that yet. I've only just like not long ago finally got around to catching up on it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you'll
So-
see it. You'll see it. It's a fun series.
Yeah, no, I'm keen. I'm keen to get right caught up on it because I really love the format and everything at the moment.
Yeah.
I signed up to Cullen's Patreon specifically to read it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm in there. I think I'm part of his Patreon, Discord chat and all that stuff.
Yeah. And like, if you've ever read any of Cullen's comics and you ever want to just chat about them, seriously, join Cullen's Discord or join my Discord because we talk about it in my Discord a lot too. Like, there's a whole channel just for talking about cool comics. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cullen's Discord is a really fun place. A lot of gaming chat as well for tabletop gamers. But
He's a really nice guy. He's approachable.
yeah, he's really cool. He's always open to fans and readers asking questions about the books and stuff, and it's been really cool hanging out in his Discord and getting to know him and other pros in the industry, actually.
You know, the interesting thing about Cullen Bunn is because he, for people who don't know, he had runs at Marvel and stuff like that. But for the most part, his whole career, I'd say 90% of it has all been his own
Yeah,
things he's created, his
yeah.
own creator-owned stuff.
I've read more creator-owned stuff from Cullen than anything else. I've got Night of the
Yeah,
Living Deadpool on the shelf back here,
yeah.
but
And he did one of the best Magneto like series ever that still people talk about still to this
yeah,
day.
I think I've read that one as well.
Yeah, it's really good. It was like when Magneto was kind of like depowered, so like the
Yeah,
way
that's
Cullen
right.
wrote
And
it.
he was still like wearing the white costume, but he was mostly depowered. Yeah,
Yeah, and he would do things like he'd carry around like pocketfuls of nails and stuff because like he would use that as like weapons and stuff. It
yeah,
was really cool. Um, but for the most part, it's all been creator owned stuff. And the thing that's impressive about him is that it seems like he has at least like two new series start like every month. And I'm
right.
just talking like
Yeah, he's
every
got something
year,
coming
every
out with
month.
Vault too now.
Yeah,
I just saw an
and it's
announcement
all
the
the
other day
time.
about that. And right?
Like he has so many ideas that he doesn't just have the ideas; he actually like makes the story, writes
Yeah,
the script. He has so much IP
yeah. No,
that
it's
I'm
incredible.
honestly surprised.
Yeah,
I'm honestly surprised he doesn't have more like TV shows and movies that have been out. Like for all I know, the only one that's come out is The Empty Man. Is
yeah.
which
I've
you
I've
had.
got to watch that too. And that's the thing though, isn't it? Like, honestly, it's kind of to do with a lot of the production companies and stuff. Like here in Australia, we see maybe this much of the horror industry of films because our film authority board doesn't like horror movies and thinks that they're not worth money and aren't going to earn money.
Oh,
So we get maybe 2 horror movies out of 20 releases.
I just watched an Australian horror movie 2 nights ago that
Yes,
scared the shit out of
we
me.
make.
Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yes,
Am
you
I
can.
allowed to?
It's an
Okay.
Australian show. You can swear as much as you want.
It scared the shit out of me.
Which
It
one?
was a I forget what it was called, but it was like a documentary, fake documentary movie,
Hmm.
and it's about a girl who went missing, and her family starts like she was swimming, and she just disappears, right? And they're
Yeah.
like trying to figure out uh kind of like oh she drowned or did, we find her body. They're trying to find her body and all this stuff, but then her ghost kind of started showing up at the house, right?
Yeah.
I could actually find what it was called.
Was it Billabong?
It was
Blackwater?
um I'm asking my wife. My wife is a huge horror fan, so she's got me into like I've always liked horror, but not to the level that she knows it, right?
Yeah.
So like she's gotten me really into watching all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, well, we make
Um,
good horror here. And that's what's
yeah,
funny is that the film board doesn't like horror and thinks that horror isn't a moneymaker. So I don't find out about so many good horror movies from overseas until like 5, 10 years after they came out.
so when you
Unless
say a film board,
it's like
um,
a governing body who decides what films actually get released in cinemas in Australia.
oh weird, is it like an official government thing?
I'm not sure exactly how it
Lake
works.
Mungo, that's what it's called. Lake Mungo.
Yeah, I know that one. I haven't seen it, but I
Yeah,
know it. Actually, that would be really cool. I was just literally just thinking, like, if when conventions come back, like, if one of them finally brought Cullen over, that would be cool because I know there's a big following for Cullen in this city, let alone the rest of the country.
he has. I mean, like Cullen is he's a beloved author, man. Like he really is. Like
Yeah, like, this is not
I
the first book of his I've covered on the show.
oh no, I mean, one of the things that my wife and I kind of like, cause she's into comics, not to the level that I am, but she does like them, and her favorite one of all time was a Cullen Bunn one. It was Harrow County, and so
Yeah,
like
that's the last one that I remember covering on the show, actually.
yeah, that one's a really great one too. Like there's I think they are making that. I think someone is currently making that.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing something about that.
But because once Hollywood, because I've just in with the companies I've worked for and stuff, I've dealt with Hollywood a little bit. I know kind of like what the mentality is in Hollywood,
Mm.
and I'll tell you that once something comes out of his that gets even like a decent amount of attention, all of a sudden, all it's going to take is one Hollywood person to be like, oh my God, look at how much stuff this guy has. Like, because that's the thing, right? Hollywood doesn't pay attention for the most part to any of what happens
Yeah.
in comics. They just know everybody loves comics, right? So like they're trying to find these fonts of IP, you know,
Yeah.
these fountains of IP, which Cullen is. I would say out of all the writers that are out there in comics today, Cullen is probably the like most prolific IP generator in the business, right? Like he's,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Cullen is so
like,
like. Honestly, a guest that I had yesterday is probably the only one that I can think of that creates so as much unique stuff as fast, close to Cullen, and that was Ryan Lindsay.
oh yeah,
Yeah, like 'cause Ryan's an Australian creator, and I've covered a few of his books on the show, and finally had him on the show in yesterday's session, and right, I'm constantly blown away by how many new books Ryan's putting out, and it's all creator-owned, cool stuff.
yeah.
I'm just like, I know you work full time and you have a family. How in the hell are you writing so much stuff?
I want to know how. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
but then it turns out it's a lot like how I create as well. In that like he's always got something in the fire long term. Like we're
Yeah,
seeing thing after thing after thing come out in a rapid thing, but he started on each of those things 5 to 6 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Which makes sense. Yeah, that's the hardest thing about being a creator is that I mean, like, for all the publishers and stuff, they're figuring out what 2023 is, like
exactly.
what's coming out in 2023 right now. So, that's one of the things I always tell people who are trying to break into the business, to remember is that it's really hard to just be like to come in and be like, oh yeah, I want to start making comics right now. I want to be making money doing this. It's a process because you'll get you for one, you're not going to really make a lot of money until until people know who you are, right? And then up until that point, you got to somehow be making that stuff while surviving,
Mm-hmm.
because once your book comes out, that's when people realize who you are, right?
Yeah,
Like, and
exactly.
then if I mean, just even with me, like all the Devils coming out hasn't come out yet, and so I'm still waiting for it to come out before I could really put my best foot forward because I know that like people know who I am or whatever, but not like to the extent that they will once I have more books on the shelf,
It's same
and
here. Like people have in the community have been kind of aware of me on the in the Twitter community and stuff, and then sort of have become aware of the show. But it wasn't until last year that I even got it to finally finish and put out my first two short 2 3 page comics, let
yeah,
alone the stuff that's going to be coming out this year and then the next year. And I started this show 3 years ago.
yeah, and
That's
it's a
wild to think about.
process. Yeah. And the thing that's crazy is like cause I went to an art school, right? And a lot of people that I was there with wanted to all get into comics, and a lot of them had this impression that they could just take their portfolio, go to a convention, and get a job working for Marvel, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like I mean, I think the average is like 7 to 8 years of constantly producing stuff before you even get before you can do it for just a straight living.
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
like the average.
And honestly, that's one of the reasons why I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Besides the
Yeah,
ADHD, you know,
yeah,
besides the ADHD urge to make anything and everything, it's like I want to be able to cycle things so that if this thing is in dev for a really long time, I can make this little thing over here. There
oh
you
yeah.
go, TTRPG. There's something you can buy to start bringing in at least a little bit of money while I go over here and write this comic.
Yeah, you have to. You have to have all your. You have to look at yourself like you are, and it took me a long time to do this, right? But I mean, pretty much all the way up until this year when a company that I had worked for 8 years, a comic company, went under, right? And I had to really actually start thinking about survival, Um, and I think the thing that I wish I had done a long time ago that's lucrative at this point is to not look at myself like I am a comic book artist, but to look at myself like I'm an artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
What can I put my art and what can I put my writing and what can I put my skills? Because I did it like I was like a generalist, right? Like I could letter, I could write, I could produce, I
Yep.
could like I did a little bit of everything, animate, and I had to kind of rebuild my websites and stuff and really start thinking of myself as an artist and a creator and not just a comic book artist or a comic book writer.
Yep.
And then storyboarding gigs started coming in, and various other things like motion graphics for this singer, and that stuff all pays really well, and that works hand in hand with the comic stuff. And so for anybody who's like a freelancer out there, who wants to break into comics, the best way to do it is by not breaking into comics, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
you want to break in to being an artist in general and having clients and having relationships and stuff like that with
that's
all kinds of
exactly
people.
it. And yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's it. Like, I have my goal since I was like 11 has been to be a comic book published creator. Like, I want to publish something that I've drawn that somebody else has written, and I wanted to publish something that I've written and either drawn or had somebody else draw, you know?
Hmm.
But I'm barely there yet because there's just other things you got to do to pay the bills while you develop all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I've been working on this for 24 years, and I'm writing my first books that are going to be published now. So
Yeah.
it's a
And
process.
there's no age limit either. Like, that's the other thing I think people compare themselves a lot to, is like, oh, if I don't do this by the time I'm 25, I've failed, right? But
Yeah,
especially as an artist, like, you see people like you see people have a huge break when they're 20 and then go away for like 30 years, and not have a break again. Then all of a sudden they do, and they're the best part. Like, one of my good friends is, 'cause I worked with him for a long while, is this guy Liam Sharp, and he does he just finished Batman Reptilian.
yeah,
But so he was part of like the UK invasion, like way back, what, 90s, I think, early 90s, mid 90s, and he had done Death's Head too. Then after that, he kind of dropped into obscurity for a bit, like doing his own stuff, and wasn't in the limelight like he had been used to, up until then, for all the way until he was almost 50 years old,
yeah.
and
Like,
he
literally,
started.
just double checking as you were saying that. Like, yeah, uh, some of Liam's YouTube content, I believe, was what helped me with some of my drawing.
Yeah, and so he got hired to do Wonder Woman with Greg Rucka,
Mm.
when the New 52, no, not New 52, it was but the thing they did after that,
Uh,
with the
Rebirth.
blue border across the top or whatever,
Yeah,
Rebirth,
Rebirth.
Rebirth. Um, and he's had like the biggest run of his career right now, right? And he didn't get that until he was almost 50, you know. So, like, like, it is a process. Stan Lee was going to give up, right? Like, that's a famous story. He was going to give up when he was like 39, 38, or 30, 39. He was going to give up because he had worked for Marvel, or what would become Marvel, for a long time, doing like horror comics and stuff like that. And it's because his uncle owned the publishing company, and so he was kind of like working for his uncle. And for the longest time he was doing that, and he was going to give up. And his wife said, "Hey, if you're going to give up on this, why don't you write the comic that you really want to write?" And that's when he did Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man came out when he was 40.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's it. Like, that's one
Like,
of the
think of
reasons.
that. Just,
Yeah,
just real sorry. Think of that really quick. Like, the career he had from the time the first issue of Spider-Man came out, Amazing Fantasy or whatever, number 15, all the way up until he passed away. The huge career he had, the impact he had, on our culture, on our world, right? And that impact all happened. Yeah, that impact all happened when he turned 40. Like, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah.
He had a he had a he was able to balance that with the beautiful family.
Yeah,
Awesome. Oh, yeah, it's signed. Nice.
yeah. His final Australian convention, I got to meet him.
That's cool.
It was amazing to still be in the presence of someone that's had such a massive impact on
Yeah.
on my life, let alone the industry.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's outstanding what he's like. A lot of people will talk, I mean, there's like people who say bad things about him and stuff like that. And I'm sure he's not a perfect person,
Yeah,
but
stuff can be two things,
yeah, stuff can be two things.
and that's it. Like, yeah, yeah, we all know the things. We've all read the stories, we've all
Yeah.
seen the documentaries, but you also can't deny the impact that the things he did create and the work he did do had on the industry and everything, and also like how much he stood up for progression and people's rights from day one. You know, with Stan's soapbox and all of that.
Yeah. He was an outstanding guy. Like, I never got a chance to meet him. I did get a chance to work with him, which was really cool. There was he had a, so he, you know how, like, he kind of got into doing TV and stuff. There was a show he did in England called Lucky Man. And they got a bunch of comic artists to do kind of like there were 7 of us to do these short, like, kind of motion comic kind of things where, like, we draw it and they'd kind of animate it a bit. And for each one of the segments, like an actor from the show or something would kind of do the voiceover and, like, do the narration and the reading for it. And so for mine, they had my story took place back with what's his face, Joe Kennedy, about getting this lucky bracelet and kind of like his life and stuff. And he had this, like, enforcer that they wanted to look like a more like a tougher Stanley, like Stanley if he was like a mobster, you know.
Yeah.
They even called him Stan. And so I did that, and Stanley himself narrated the whole thing and, like, did the voice and stuff, which was super cool.
That's really cool.
It just never played in America. Like, it was only in England. So I had to, like, track down a copy of it and a copy of the DVD, and it only plays in certain DVD players, like it, because I guess some kind of coding or whatever.
Region
specific stuff. So, like, it would only work in certain DVD players and stuff like that. But so it's like I worked with, like, it was probably like the highest profile thing I've ever worked on, and one of the things I'm most proud of, and nobody even saw it. You know, like, nobody I know even saw it because it was in a different country.
Have you ripped it and put it on your website?
No, I haven't.
You should 100% do that.
I should.
Because that deserves to be seen.
Yeah, I mean, it was super cool. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's incredible.
6 Gun.
Yes. And see, that's like literally the thing I was about to say is I don't mind. This show always derails for at least 20 minutes, at least. Because
good. So it's not just me.
No, it's comics creators, especially when I have fellow ADHD creators as well, is we've got so much to talk about comics. It's like the comic that we choose to talk about is because we love it, but it's also just to facilitate the greater conversation about the wonderful thing that is comics.
Right.
You know, and like every single... it has been such an education for me. I think I mention this every episode, but like I'm so grateful to every single one of my guests because of talking to all of my peers and everything that I have learned from them over the course of this show. And it's been incredible. Every single episode, I learned something new. Yeah. I don't even know what it is until later, but I do.
You've had some great guests on here too.
Yeah.
From what I've seen.
I couldn't believe some of the people that I got, and I've just gone, oh, hey, tweet person, you want to come on my show? Yeah, all right.
That's cool. I think a lot of us, like, since we all work, like, from our offices at home and stuff, you know, like we like me personally, like I'm a social person, right? I'm very extroverted, so like I need to talk to people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I jump at the chance.
And what the general feedback has been, which I think is really nice, is that a lot of creators find it relieving that they don't have to come on here and talk about themselves. Like, they just get to talk about the craft and something that they love. Which is the point. It's like, I just want to give people a platform to just talk about this thing that we love. It inevitably comes up that my guest's work will get discussed at some point. But it's not like, here, this is all about you all the time. It's just a chance to get down and just chat about what we love, and that is comics. And on that note, let's talk about the comic that we love a bit more, because we've got to talk about it at least a little bit.
Yes.
And especially because it is such an amazing book. And so I've got one of the first pages up here where they're like, you know, among those who know the truth of things, it is widely understood that the 6th Gun vanished after the war. And like already, I'm just going to bring up the close-up here. That first panel, it's a whole town shot, but there's already so much detail in that. with all the work that they've put into every little building and the mountains in the background, and and then there's the close up at the bottom of the tavern inside, and it's just the lighting, the coloring, it's gorgeous, and the lettering it suits this story so well.
He does a really good job, like kind of matching like a cool like Western, like when he would watch Western and stuff, like with narration and stuff like that. He does a really good job.
Yeah,
with that kind of writing style.
Yeah, he really does. Like, the whole thing has been put together so masterfully. It's a perfect team for this. And, like, they don't waste any time in introducing us to the occult and supernatural elements here.
Page 2.
Yeah. Immediately, there's the fact that they're here. These Pinkerton detectives are hunting down these occult items for reasons
So one
unknown.
of these guys, that was going to be Pedro Pascal, right? The guy here on the second page.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy with the mustache.
Yeah. So I really want to see this.
I know. So on the second page, I hadn't noticed this before, but there's actually a couple of Easter eggs on the second page that come back into play along at least for one of them a volume later, and then I think for the other Easter eggs many volumes later.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed him, but in the second page, the panel where they're talking about the like the freak show, the traveling freak show,
the 9-foot mystery mummy.
There's that, and then if you look in the background, this is one that I found that I had never noticed. There's a character standing right behind the reptile.
Yeah. Yep. I see him.
The man. That's the character that shows up. What's his name? In the second volume.
Oh, the Grifter.
Yeah, the Grifter.
Yeah, I can't really remember what he looks like, but that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he's back there.
Yeah,
I don't know if he planned that or if that just turned out that way, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Like, I never like to give too much credit without knowing for sure myself, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised with the amount of detail that Cullen inserts into his stories.
Yeah. Definitely the mummy, though.
Yeah.
The mummy's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big thing.
Asher Cobb.
Yeah. And then they're here just, like, killing the sorcerer here to take the tarot deck.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there's the guns. So the thing that I think is really cool about the mythology of the guns is that there's 6 of them, and they kind of work kind of like the rings in Lord of the Rings. Is kind of like what my initial impression was, like each one kind of did a different thing. And for people who are listening to this and they haven't read the book, there's these 6 white-handled guns that have this red symbol planted on it, right? Really cool design. And if they ever made a show of this, I'm sure they'd make replicas of these guns, which I would definitely buy. But each gun does a different thing.
Yeah.
So like, and they're bonded to the person who uses them. So if anybody else tries to use that gun while you're alive, it will burn them in a way that is burning their soul. So it's like this cool like green flame kind of thing, and so like it actually like kind of burns your soul away.
Yeah.
And they're kind of right. Pretty much the what it. And then if you have them, it starts to slowly. The impression I get is that it starts to slowly corrupt you, kind of like the rings did in Lord of the Rings. Right?
Yeah.
It kind of like messes you up. So each gun does a different thing. Like one, you'll fire the bullet. You never have to reload them, by the way. You'll fire the bullet, and where the bullet hits, flames will burst out of. One fires a bullet like a cannon, like it's like a giant cannon blast.
Yeah.
Another one spreads a disease in whatever it hits, which is a really ugly one.
Yeah, and there's the ghost one as well.
That's my favorite one. Yeah.
It creates like an earth golem, but it's always a spirit. I don't know if you can choose the spirit that happens, but it's always a spirit that has been struck down by the gun.
Yeah. I think you can. I think you can choose, and there's a reason I think so.
Yeah,
But I don't
I
want to
think
give
I
the
know what you
spoiler.
mean. I think with old mate.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want
He
to give you. I don't want to give like the spoiler away, but I think you do get to choose
Yeah,
who
I
kind
was
of.
always wondering whether that was a conscious decision or if the gun chose that. Like,
Mm,
because these guns are supernatural and kind of semi sentient themselves, like,
right.
is he choosing to bring that spirit back each time? Or is the gun choosing it in an attempt to punish the wielder with a spirit that would cause them the most distress?
Oh, that's cool. Hey, that's a question for Cullen.
Yeah.
That's a question you got to ask Cullen when you have him on the show.
Yeah, like, that may have been answered in the comic and I've just forgotten it, but that is a question that I have had.
Yeah, yeah. I like. I actually really like that. Like, I was under the impression that he's making that decision. But
Yeah.
um, that's a good question.
Yeah, right. And then there's
Hmm.
this the Gallows Tree, where they get to talk to the
Oh yeah.
spirits and get the map. And
So that page was the one where I was sold on this book. So that's
yeah,
page 13. Page 13, when I hit that our main character, Drake, goes to the gallows tree, was one of those really inventive things I was telling you about, like where you'd see like it's just so creative and imaginative and like just awesome
right.
that I knew this was going to be a good book. So the gallows tree is a tree that you can only find if you have a map to it, right? So you have to have this map. You have to know how to use the map, and it kind of enforces this whole idea in the book that this supernatural world exists, but if you're just a normal, schlubby person walking around, not really knowing about this stuff, you would never notice it. But if you are in the know, if you kind of know how to find these places and you kind of know what you're doing, it's there. It's everywhere.
Yeah,
And this tree is the first example of this, where this guy Drake Sinclair, um, who's kind of like one of the main protagonists, one of the couple of them. It's like this crazy looking tree that he finds with a map, and it's got kind of like a bunch of people hanging from it, of course, but they're all kind of like ghosty, and like
yeah,
zombie like, like oracles. And they got these glowing eyes and light coming out of their mouth and stuff, and it's just really cool.
yeah. No,
Oh yeah,
it's
they're looking at this right now, huh?
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah. They
showing
can
them.
see it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. And like the tree is red and it looks like it's made of flesh, not wood.
Yeah. hmm And you learn about Drake. I mean, everything you need to know about Drake really is in this is expertly written in these first few pages. Like he he's talking to him about what he's looking for. He seems like he's a sincere person, and they kind of like help him out, and then he screws him over. Like he makes a deal with him, and he promises to burn the map, and they're like, okay, we'll help you, and he promises to burn the map in a way where he makes it kind of sound like he does care about their plight, like they don't want to be found, they want to rest. Um,
Yeah,
and he convinces them, and then he puts it back in his pocket, walks off, and they're like, are you gonna burn it? And he's like, nope, I don't know who you thought I was. And that's your first meeting with this guy.
yeah. And
Um,
he's our protagonist, and you're immediately introduced to him as a kind of a double dealing douchebag.
yeah, who's still cool though.
Yeah,
He's still cool,
like you're
like
still interested in him, and you still want to see what happens.
yeah. And then you meet the other protagonist, in the next page, who is she is the daughter of a preacher,
Yeah,
um, who and their farm is about to get ransacked, and this is where you meet the main Gunn, which is it kind of did the thing. It kind of does this thing, kind of like the Lord of the Rings did, where if you meet all the Gunns, you're kind of thinking, well, I don't even know if this is the gun that I'd pick. Like, I mean, all these guns doing all this awesome stuff. Like, this gun
right.
kind of gives you an idea of, it's just kind of a normal gun, but it gives you like flashes of the future. But then
Yeah,
you slowly start to see that it really is like the best one.
yeah. Like it. Yeah, it doesn't just give you visions of the future. it also enables. Here's where it's going to get spoilery. So if you haven't read the book, go read it. Come back. It enables like the astral time travel.
Yeah, it gets really good. The more she uses or bonds with it, like the more powerful she becomes.
Yeah, right.
But like at first you're kind of like, yeah, this is. I mean, I guess it's a cool gun, but like I want the one that like brings back all the dead people. Like that one's freaking awesome. Or the one that you can't die. Like you're like the Wolverine
Yeah.
when you have it. You know, that one's pretty cool. Oh, that one scene. Uh, I guess we can talk spoilers. The one scene later in this volume where she gets her hand cut off, the wife.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's holding the gun. She gets her hand cut off, and once that happens, she gets really old and just is like dying because she no longer is connected to the gun. But the hand that's connected to the gun, all these crazy like muscles and stuff start coming out of it, and it builds a whole nother version of her.
Yeah, right.
It's freaking cool. This comic is cool. It's just
yeah,
cool.
it is. It does so many interesting things. Yeah, and then here immediately after they kill her dad, we're introduced to the gun doing that burning.
Yeah. Yep. The guy tries to pick it up. But so Becky is like the other protagonist, and she picks the gun up first, not really knowing what it is, and because she does that after her dad dies, she's now bonded to the gun.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like that's how it happens, right?
Yeah,
she grabs it and shoots at him. Oh no, okay, so the guy who shoots the dad, he's bonded to the gun, right? But she picks the gun up and shoots him, and then she bonds to it. Because I think it's the person who kills the person gets the gun. So I think she immediately kills the guy who killed the dad.
Yeah.
And she gets the gun. And so now she's bonded to it. So the reason they keep her alive is because the big boss, who's a super cool character, he wants to kill her so he could get bonded back to his gun.
Yeah, that's right.
His whole thing. I thought I had just found a plot hole for Cullen Bunn. I was about to say, I think I did, but yeah, we're looking at it now. She kills the guy who killed the dad.
Yeah, she kills like all three of them.
Yeah, that's how she gets it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because he busts in, and then she immediately shoots him.
Yeah, and then Drake turns up and sees that the dad's dead.
Yeah. That part's really cool because Cullen's whole like there's this like 1-page thing that's really awesome about how, and it's just like a 1-page thing, but it's talking about how like buzzards are the wisest creatures in the world, and it's so strange because this guy's dying on the ground that she had shot, and it's this almost all red page, and it's like this whole thing. You guys are probably looking at it right now, but it's like this whole thing about how buzzards are the wisest creature in the world, and like they'll whisper secrets about life and death to you, but like you only hear these secrets right before you're about to die.
Yeah.
And like and it's just like this like 1-page little story that's just so cool.
Yeah, right. Like it's just like sets more of this world up. Like that doesn't have to be there.
No.
But it establishes just how creepy and supernatural this world actually is.
Yeah. And just like how on fire Cullen's brain is when he's writing this. Like just like the creativity that he's firing into this comic.
Yeah.
Just a throwaway page where Drake is walking up to the farm. That's all it needed to be. Drake walks up to the farm, sees the guy dying, asks him a question, right? That's all it needed to be. But instead, it's this whole little like story about how vultures whisper these secrets of life and death, and it's so cool. Like this book is just so cool.
Right. And then we've got the scene at the chapel.
Yeah. Yeah, these guys.
Yeah. Suddenly the preachers are pulling out bloody Gatling guns.
Yeah, which is awesome. But then this whole scene is introducing you to these like the rad like posse of gun carriers, you know?
Yeah.
And the design of these guys are really cool. Like I spent a while like actually looking at all these, like the guy with the bag over his head, and like the zombie looking guy, and
yeah,
like they're just so well done.
Yeah, and the guy with the bag over his head is the pestilence guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. There's the hunger guy as well.
Yeah, the hunger guy. I think he has the gun that spreads the flames. The
Yeah,
guy that's all the way there on the left. Like Brian Hurtt, the artist for this. Um, like the designs of these characters, it's like like you immediately know who. Like looking at this from an artistic standpoint, you immediately kind of just from this one picture, without knowing anything about him, you kind of get their deal, right?
yeah,
Like you got the main guy, who's kind of like in the lead. He's the only one with a white horse. He's got this tall hat that makes him taller than all the other characters. He's nicely dressed. He's like the leader of this group.
yeah,
You got the weird guy that's right left to him. With the bag over his head, the mysterious weird guy. You got the gross guy, and then you got the muscle. And you can
yeah.
tell all of that
Just an immediate look.
just the immediate look.
Yeah, like you can sort of tell immediately that the guy on the left is he's gonna be mean.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't know what the guy in the bag's deal is, but you also know that you don't really want to know.
No, yeah. And that I think when I first read this, he was the one that I liked the most, was the guy with the bag over his head, just because I liked the mystery of it.
Yeah, and I believe the muscle guy is the one that's got the cannon gun, right?
He does, yeah. He's got the
Yeah,
cannon, so whenever he fires a bullet, it hits whatever he's firing at, like a cannon blast,
yeah,
blows up walls. I mean, even more than a cannon blast, really.
yeah. And then just a couple more pages in, we get introduced to
Hume.
their boss, and like yeah, they rip the coffin open, and there he is, this pale, vampiric looking guy, all chained up inside the coffin.
He looks like a zombie version of what I think Robert E. Lee looked like. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah, I get that.
and that's what he was. He was like a Confederate general. But
Yeah,
this guy, the design and the way that this guy starts getting drawn later, and this is spoilery, but so they pull him out of a coffin. He's chained to this coffin, and they can't get the chains off. Like he has been, by the people who killed him. He is because he's all kinds of powerful, right? He's all kinds of powerful because he spent all this time getting all these, more than just the guns and more than just the main gun. He's
yeah,
got all kinds of different artifacts, and he can't get so he ends up dragging this coffin around. But after a while, these chains they just whip around him, right? They just whip around him, and the coffin is like held up by the chains behind him, like
yeah,
he's like Spawn or something, And he walks around. These chains will like strangle people out and do all kinds of crazy stuff. He shoots lightning bolts with this, so he's like, it's super cool.
yeah,
It's the imagery that they have of that, like the drawings they have of him, like later on, and when he's in these big battles, are some of the coolest drawings I've ever seen.
yeah. Right, and then we get the scene on this next page. To when he in his at the first part in his weakened state, they summon an army to help him do his thing, and carry
Yeah,
him along. And we finally get to see what the creepy guy's gun does.
yeah, which is so cool. The like the mud guys.
Yeah. And that is who. Hang on, let me just check it again. What was his name?
Something.
Graham McTavish was playing him.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, Graham McTavish was going to play this guy with the spirit golem gun, and that would have been such good casting.
yeah. Dang, I wish it had happened. I am gonna send a message. I doubt. I mean, I'm not like good friends with him or anything like that. I just just we're peers or whatever. But I'm gonna send a message to see if he has like a Dropbox link or something to this, because I want to watch it.
Yeah, who
Like
knows?
I
It
really
might
do.
be it might be in an online streaming vault somewhere at one of these, but you know, Cullen is the one who's going to know where it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
wherever it is, Cullen is the one who's probably going to know.
Oh, I'm sure he must have a copy of it somewhere.
You would think so. And I love these scenes here in in the tavern again, where we've got Drake and we meet Bill John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a really cool character.
And just love the expressions on his face. You know, like how expressive the art is and stuff in these first 3 panels that we see him in.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a fun character. He's got the 2 double-barreled sawed-off shotguns he carries around. We meet the wife.
Yeah.
Creepy.
I was about to say that. Yeah, Drake notices the guy sneaking around him, and suddenly we meet the undead wife, essentially the immortal wife.
So is this all technically still the first issue?
I'm not sure. I've got the first volume here.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I don't remember when the first issue ended.
I think it ends where he says, "I'm gonna go get my gun back."
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, because this is all battle and stuff. This is all really cool.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Widow Hume. That's right. That's the name she goes by.
Yeah, the Widow Hume.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about her is she's actually really old, but because she has that gun, it like de-aged her.
Yeah, she remains eternally youthful.
Yeah.
For as long as she's got the gun. Yeah, and then Drake just shoots her through the head.
Yeah, and she's fine.
Yeah, and a couple of pages later, I love this scene as well, actually, where he tells her to pick the gun back up, and she says it's not natural, and he's like, there isn't a gun in the world that's natural.
Yeah. There's some good lines in this.
Yeah, and I'm like I like that. Like, this is a story about gunslingers and everything, but it also makes some really good points. That like, we aren't meant to have guns in this world. That was a thing that humans decided to build and create.
And it's just as unnatural. A gun is just as natural as any of the supernatural stuff in this.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, a gun gives the wielder the power of life and death. And that's not a natural thing for any human to wield.
Yeah.
But I'd love here, like, Bill John just has these 2 sawn-off shotguns strapped into his coat, and he's just got them on cables.
Yeah, he's cool, man. He's one of my favorite characters in this whole book. He's like the kind of like the perfect, like, I don't want to say side character, but you know, like, he's the perfect, like, friend character in a Western. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he is.
He's a gambler, you know.
Yep. Oh yeah. And then we start to get to meet see the fire gun do its thing.
Yeah. This is where we see them all. I mean, this is like this is a big battle, the first big battle. That's really awesome. There's the fire gun doing its thing.
Yeah. Then they bring in Hume in the coffin, and the widow runs to embrace it, but he's still just shouting orders at everyone.
Yeah, he doesn't even care that she's there, really. That was a good character moment. It's the whole time up until that she's talking about how awesome he is, and
yeah, and then he's just another asshole.
Yeah, he could care less about her.
Yeah, and I love the reveal that old mate's got the body armor on under his suit.
Yeah. So he's not just. I mean, he's like a literal tank. You know? Yeah, because he like snipes him. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I forgot that about the dynamite scene here.
Yep. Yeah, you know, one of the things they talk about later is that with these cool, like, golem creatures.
Yeah.
Is that they fall apart really easy because they actually don't want to fight for General Hume, because like General Hume, you know, like then General Hume and his guys, they killed these people, so they're not happy about this. So they're actually like they're doing it, but their will's not there. So like they're not very effective. They're just like they fall apart in a brisk wind. They said, you know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because I thought that was pretty cool. But if they do want to fight, then all of a sudden they are like pretty formidable, you know?
Yeah,
Like if they're into it.
Yeah, because like Bill John, and they retain some of their sentience.
Yeah.
Like Bill John like is really defined compared to the others.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to give that away, but now that we're talking about it,
We're in spoiler territory already.
yeah, he actually seems to care about the things that he cared about when he was alive. You know,
Yeah.
like he cares about. He's like thinking. You can tell he's thinking. He can't talk or anything, but he's like thinking. You know.
Yeah, yeah, he's obvious. Like he wants to protect his friends.
Yeah. He actually becomes kind of more of a character when he's that thing.
He does.
More of a sympathetic character.
Yeah. And I love this scene where we find out about Hume getting the guns in the first place. And they're all like draped around the neck of this big goat. And then he hands them out to his little posse. And
I like the goat.
Yeah. And that they're not just like it talks about the fire gun, and it's like it's not just fire, it's the flames of perdition.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like special like hellfire, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Such a good book.
It is. It's a really good book. And, like, for anyone that hasn't read it, go read it. I'm going to link it in the description below, as along with, just where you can find Cullen's work. And I'll link all of Matt's links in the description below. But, yeah, we've approached and run over the hour, which has been great. It's been a really great chat.
It has been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. So, Matt, where can people find you?
So you can go to my website. It's just www.matthardingart.com. And that has links to all my social media, all the books I work on and stuff, all the other stuff I work on. It's the best way to do it.
Yep. And if all
Matt
goes
Harding
well
Art.
this year, you can find us collaborating on something later in the year.
Yes.
I'll keep you posted on what and when and where it actually manages to happen. But stay tuned. This has been No Capes. This has been my guest, Matt Harding. I am Sean Sunday, and this is the show where we talk about creator-owned comics with creators who own comics. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, give a little comment if you liked the episode, because every one of those helps boost the visibility of these videos. And if you like the show and you like my work and you want to help support it, consider signing up to Patreon, where you're going to get access to episodes early. You're going to get to see all the bloopers and stuff that gets cut out of the ads, of the episodes, and you get to pre-read scripts and play test my games and all of that kind of good stuff behind the scenes in advance. And it just helps me to buy more comics and make more episodes. So maybe consider signing up.
Do it.
Until next time, this has been No Capes. I'm Sean Sunday. Keep reading comics.